Have you ever heard of a bank robbery where nobody used a weapon, nobody broke in, and nobody even ran? Because this one actually happened, and when investigators finally figured out what went on, they couldn't believe how simple it was. It started like any other normal day. A busy bank branch, people standing in line, tellers helping customers, phones ringing, money moving in and out like it does every single day. Completely routine, completely ordinary. And somewhere in that line, there was just another customer waiting his turn. Nothing about him stood out. No mask, no hoodie, no nervous behavior, just a guy handling his banking. But behind the scenes, something very unusual had just happened. Millions of rand had quietly moved out of the bank's system. No alarms, no forced entry, no hacked servers, just one massive transfer that nobody noticed at first. It wasn't until later that afternoon that the bank manager saw it. A transaction report printed out, numbers that didn't make sense, way too big to ignore. At first, they thought it had to be a system error. Banks move money all the time, but this transfer was different because it had been approved properly inside the system, which meant someone had done it legitimately, or at least it looked legitimate. So the bank called in investigators. Detectives started reviewing everything: computer logs, transaction records, security footage. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Employees were following normal procedures. Customers were coming and going. But then something strange appeared. One particular customer kept showing up day after day, not doing anything illegal, not causing trouble, just visiting the bank, standing in line, talking to tellers, sitting in the waiting area, sometimes for long periods. At first, investigators assumed he was just a regular customer. But when they looked closer, they noticed something interesting. He wasn't just waiting. He was watching. Watching how staff handled transactions, watching which employees approved transfers, watching how paperwork moved through the system. He wasn't robbing the bank. He was studying it for weeks, maybe months, learning exactly how everything worked. And eventually, he understood the system well enough to try something bold. One day, he approached the counter, calm, relaxed, just another customer. He handed over a document, requested a transfer. Everything looked normal. Everything looked correct. The paperwork was processed, the system approved it, and just like that, millions moved. No alarms, no chase, no dramatic getaway, just numbers moving through a computer system. And he walked out the front door like any other customer. By the time investigators realized what had happened, the money had already begun moving through other accounts. And the man they kept seeing on the cameras suddenly made a lot more sense. Detectives eventually tracked him down. They arrested him outside his apartment, and during questioning, he stayed calm. Because the truth was, he hadn't hacked anything. He hadn't broken in. He simply learned how the system worked better than the people running it. And that's the part that shocked everyone. This wasn't some high-tech cybercrime, no sophisticated hacking, no elaborate disguise, just patience, observation, and understanding a system well enough to slip right through it. It's the kind of crime that sounds impossible, but sometimes the biggest security flaw isn't technology, it's the way people use it. And in this case, that was all someone needed.